morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Marcy Neumann. Hi, Marcy.
Hey, Kathy. It's so fun to be here with you. I haven't seen you in such a long time.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yes, it's great. And we made it through the lockdown and everything. And we're
Yes.
still here cheerleading on to get everybody so that they can really see how powerful they are and create the life that they really want. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks.
So Marcy, you have so many different things behind your name. It's not like I had a printer friend that gave me a business card one time, and he was making fun of the insurance industry, and his name. Well, I won't tell you his name, but anyway, he had EIEIO. But you have a ton of different designations and certifications that you've done to bring to your customers and to make a more inclusive and energetic and emotional baggage release possibility for your customers. So and a reverend. So
Yes.
yeah, wow. So tell me your journey a little bit about how you got to this. Well, no, I just want everyone to know. I mean, I know you have incredible quality and you have a great reputation, but I want to make sure that everyone here starts to get to know your reason why and how your journey to this, because we've all been doing this. I know you've been doing it 20 years. I mean, we're in service, right?
Yeah. Well, I laughed because in actuality, this year I'm celebrating my 50th year in this field of helping hearts to heal.
Wow.
Yeah, I was actually ordained back in 1974.
Wow.
As a spiritualist minister. And at that time, I was trained in hands-on healing, mediumship, channeling, and what we now call today energy medicine. But at the same time, I graduated from nursing school. And so as a young registered nurse, I had not only these very unusual credentials, but I had an understanding about healing, both from a conventional medical background and a metaphysical background. And what soon developed was I was looked upon as a liaison between those two worlds, even way back then. I remember so often patients, their families, and then, what happened was as my reputation for being able to help people to understand on a deeper level what was happening with them, the doctors and other staff members really started to take note. And I was very, very blessed from a very early age and early time to be able to pioneer so much of what we are appreciating in the field today. And so I say, just like everyone else, it's really a lifelong journey. But, because I also have so many childhood memories where I had, flashbacks of past or parallel lives and all kinds of things that were taking place. But what was also very clear at the time was that I had a knowingness that very few people had. And it was a wisdom that came from deep within me. And even as, a young woman, I remember even being in high school, how I became that go-to person from my friends and also their parents. And so it was just this natural progression, to tell you the truth, where I started to recognize very early on that this was my path. However, like anyone else, I got detoured a bit. Product of, the 70s, sex, drug, and rock and roll. But the truth of the matter is, no, I didn't really get into that so much. But, I did get married and I had children, and I worked so hard to try to live this conventional life, trying to wear only the hats that those roles sort of, delved out to me. And all the while trying to keep this spiritual knowingness kind of at bay until one day I couldn't do it any longer.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it just, yeah, it was hellbound, heaven bound, I should say, to have its way with me.
Isn't that cool? Well, so the thing is that because you had the traditional medicine, the nursing degree, and the spiritual side,
Yes.
you were marrying spirit and science, which
Mhm.
is what we're hopefully doing finally now. And so you had a more
Yes.
holistic view about the body's capacity to heal and how powerful thoughts are.
That's right. Yeah, and it also, because it opened so many doors for me, I also got to meet a lot of other people on this path and recognized, of course, that we were all headed in the same direction and that it was really a call. Even back then, I recognized that we were being called to up level. We are being called to take our divinity, and rather than just leaving it for Saturday or Sunday, right? That we were actually meant to be living this on an everyday basis and from a very conscious level. And so I started to I was so blessed, Kathy. I was invited to create programs, for instance, for one of the largest hospital systems on Long Island at the time.
Wow.
And had also done community outreach. And all of this that I'm describing is really what they considered as integrative medicine.
Yeah.
But I was doing energy work. I was teaching energy work in these outreach programs. And then I was asked to create programming for hospice. I worked with brain injured adults. I worked with children, autistic children. I just had so many incredible opportunities until I was finally asked to teach medical students.
Wow.
And yeah, and this was, imagine that this was going on. Of course, it didn't get too much notoriety at the time because so many people didn't understand it. So many people were fearful of it. But it just had, a heart of its own. And then eventually what happened was I knew that this really needed all of our focus. And so I co-founded a not-for-profit organization for Reiki practitioners. And it was to up-level them to be seen as professionals. And we started to put them in hospitals, operating rooms, doctors' offices, etc. And so, yeah, it's just been an incredible ride. It has had a lot of ups and downs, but through it all, I have to say, I've been carried by spirit. Everything was always laid out for me.
Isn't that fantastic? Well, so I have to say I relate a lot to this because we had to go undercover and use different language.
Yes.
If we used language from the heart, we weren't taken serious, but you could use language from here. Well, it's like going underground, really. but with the same mission, but you had to use a different way of presenting it, but the same solution, right?
A lot of what you're saying is correct. However,
Okay.
I also started to recognize, and this happened after I had a very profound personal epiphany. It was back in 2003. And I was shown at that time, as my heart was being broken open, that this was the key, this was the path. And I found right from that moment going forwards that no longer could I be speaking the language to appease others. I needed to introduce a new language, and that was the language of the heart. You really hit the nail on the head. And so that was when I went from being undercover to being full on and giving people the opportunity to experience me, to experience what I was teaching, and to experience a different level of conscious awareness where they could also embrace their hearts and find that not only could they live that life that you described in the beginning, a life we all want to live, but also to begin to understand that it's a life that we all deserve to be living. In other words, we're meant to live this way. It's our birthright. And so this whole transition took place after that epiphany. And I'll tell you, it was as if the universe just laid itself at my feet when I started to follow that path.
So what I'm excited about is that I really feel that we're at a crossing point right now where we've been in a pressure cooker to wake us all up. And I'm including myself because even though I've been doing this a long time, there's still stuff that's leaving. And it reminds you, it's like, how could that still be there? But it is sometimes, right? But
we're human.
Huh?
I've said, of course, we're human.
Yes. Yeah. Well, but I think we stood in line to get these bodies to be here right now to help with the change, and in your case, be a huge support to the change.
Yes.
So that people can actually live in joy, because suffering is optional.
Correct. Yeah. No, I think that was really well said. And what I find in my work is that there is a knowingness, and people are feeling this yearning in their hearts to live life differently, but often they don't have the tools, or they don't have the understanding, or they have no idea how to begin, because even as you described, whatever path is opening up before them, where they're suddenly consciously aware of it, it requires that you let go of wherever you are right now. And that's a huge task for a lot of people. As I said for myself, when, this happened for me and the epiphany that I had, it required of me that I leave behind everything that I had really thought defined me for about 30 years.
Wow.
I left my marriage, my home, much of my family. I left my community, my job, my friends. I really did leave behind the aspects of me that I could feel were keeping me in a place that I no longer fit in.
I understand.
And it's like, the only thing that I can think of is to, just imagine being this flower in a pot. And you know how when it doesn't have room to grow, you have all those roots that are all like entangled in the bottom, and then they start to crack the pot and push through and reach for whatever they need. That was me. And I could feel it. And I could also feel, in truth, I could feel my spirit dying.
Oh, wow.
And it was a, how do they describe it? A come to Jesus moment, you might say. Because I had to start to look at my life, not as I wanted it to be, but as it truly was.
Mm-hmm. And
this is what I have found is so essential for all of us as we are on this ascension path. And that is, it requires that we cultivate this courage to see things as they truly are. We have to step out of the illusion, out of the fantasy, And we have to let go of whatever is, sort of hell-bent on keeping us there, because we are in such an accelerated path that if we linger, if we allow these aspects of us that are disintegrating in the speed of light and try to hold on to them, what happens is exactly what happened to me. And that was, I started to feel not only my spirit die, but my body deteriorate.
Oh.
And at the time, I just sort of brushed it off as, oh, just normal aging. But here's what happened. A year after I left that life, one day I went to get up out of my chair, go answer the door, and all of a sudden, the things that had really been, I could feel, as I said, this deterioration. I had such pain in my hips, I wouldn't be able to get up out of a chair. I constantly had headaches, digestive problems, and I used to have panic attacks in the middle of the night.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, as I'm leaping up out of my chair to answer the door, I realized, oh my God, I haven't felt one of those things in a year.
Wow, that's fantastic. So your body knows,
Mm-hmm.
and it told you.
Yeah.
And you paid attention.
Yeah.
Well, you've been paying attention all along since if by you taking the leap of experiencing being a spiritualist minister that young and learning healing, you followed the breadcrumbs, or I call them memos,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like lots of people get them, but only a handful act
Follow.
on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did, Kathy, but as I said, there was that period also where I tried to just fit in.
Right.
Everybody looked at me as being so eccentric. And, like I had a friend who for my birthday gave me these, graphics, right, of me in different past life experiences that I had shared. And everybody thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter was, I laughed right along with them. I wasn't offended at all, but I realized how people perceived me. And so there was a lot of me that I contracted, that I tried so hard to fit in.
Yeah.
And I believe that also was the contrast that gave me the courage to step back into my path. All along, I was putting Band-Aids on those little parts of me. Right. Keep that voice quiet. Like you said, keep it under wraps. For God's sakes, what will people think?
Well,
yeah.
Also, it was more that you couldn't be functioning. I mean, if you're in a male-dominated business world, which we were, and you're highly sensitive, and you see a more holistic view of what's happening, and you hear people's language, and you realize what their story is just by what their language is, then you can help, you can assist them if you're on team with them, or if you're the manager of them, you can help alleviate that. But it's a burden. I used to have a clothing store in Boulder called The Bugle that was in the the corner of the Boulder Auto. And people would tell me their deepest, darkest secrets.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have to go home and watch a black and white old movie and cry it out. I didn't have, because I was told not to tell anybody, and they felt 100% better. But as an empath and sensitive, it was like, what do I do with this? And how horrible. And, so I would find myself, I still can cry at movies. It's a great release.
Yeah.
But
no, and thank you for sharing that, because I think that, so many of us have experienced that. And like I said, I spent a lot of time and energy putting little band-aids on those voices that wanted to come through.
Yeah.
And, but I also had 4 kids. And,
You too.
I had a former husband. He used to say to me, "Why can't you just behave?" I got it. I totally got it. But the truth of the matter was, from my perspective, I wasn't misbehaving. I was just trying to be me
Right.
and trying to teach and trying to give people permission to be themselves
Right.
also.
Right.
And it's so much a part of this. I think, what we're being called to do as well. And I said this earlier about, you know, really being invited to come into our divinity at this time is that we must let go of the parts of us that we have cultivated to appease others, the parts of us that we have followed the programming to live up to the expectations of others. We must start to love ourselves, because that frequency of energy is where we align with our divinity.
Yep. Yep.
So we have to first be able to accept ourselves as something more than what we've been trying to play act. And we have to, I remember thinking, I remember like when all of this was coming forward, and I had this sense of like doom, right? It was like, oh my God. But I also remember hearing this voice, and it was, like the jig's up. There's no more play acting.
Ah.
There's no more play acting. And what had sort of come up for me during that epiphany was myself, my own heart saying, "How much longer do I have to do this, Lord?"
Wow.
Yeah. And so I realized, that our higher self is constantly, feeding us, constantly whispering in our ear, "Follow me, follow me, follow
Mhm.
me." And then what happens is, like I said, you get the message, jigs up. It's like now or never, this is it. And you said it so beautifully. We're at a crossroad, we're at a precipice. This is now, the jig is up. You must let go of whatever has been creating this shrunken version of you, because we're all being called to come
Right.
forward.
Well, if we
Mhm.
want to be in joyful co-creation, and going into the age of Aquarius is about peace and love,
That's
and we're
right.
coming out of this patriarchal, highly
Mhm.
competitive, warlike mindset, that it's survival of the fittest, which
Right.
isn't even true. So much of the programs that our parents gave us and that the education system gave us, we're going to find probably aren't quite what we thought they were, and that there's an opportunity to now be in a highly creative world that creates the problem solves at a equitable manner. And
Yeah.
but you have to start with you. So we're going to go back to self-love a little bit here,
Mhm.
because I am fascinated with all of the teachers that I've followed so far, and I'm including you in it now,
Thank
because
you.
of self-love is the key to all of it, because that's the key to compassion for everything. Not right?
Yeah.
Or what do you see? Because I think we're at this turning point and the opportunities available.
Mhm. Yeah. So here's my view. I believe, and like I said, so this really came to me like, it hit me over. I'd like to say it hit me over the head, but the truth is, it just tore my heart open.
Oh,
And it started to show me that, well, it showed me a number of things, but what was so confusing to people was that they were equating self-care with self-love. And so I'd like to take just a moment to differentiate those for our audience.
Mhm.
So self-care is actually why self-love has gotten such a bad rap.
Oh.
Okay. Self-care started to arise during the time where people were just sort of awakening to like the law of attraction, and spiritual universal laws were coming up in consciousness and etc. And I'm talking about more in the general public. But anyway, so, self-care started also to come to the surface. Take time for yourself. Make certain that you are taking time to just be quiet and imagine. Go for a massage, go for, meditation, go for whatever it was that would soothe your soul. And, there were a lot of, you talk about the patriarchal um, model for things, right? There was a bit of an uproar about this because because this spiritual journey is a bit more prevalent in women's lives than men. Um, Women started to move out of the home looking for this soothing, looking to be comforted. And, it caused a bit of an uprising in the male dominated roles at the time, or the mindset. And so women started to be called selfish if they took time away from their families, if they took time away from their responsibilities to take care of themselves. So this is where self-love really did get that bad rap. But self-care and self-love couldn't be further apart on the spectrum. So self-care is all those things that you do to comfort yourself, to soothe your soul, to, ease your stress, your anxiety. You come out of it like a much healthier and happier person. Self-love takes you out of your comfort zone. There is nothing comfortable about it. Self-love is that journey. It's the unfolding of that authentic you, and it requires that you let go of as I said before, either the programs or the conditioning or the roles or the expectations of others. And you, at all costs, shed whatever is anchoring you, tethering you to that belief system for the purpose of aligning with yourself as the creative force.
Beautiful.
You cannot be a conscious, creative force calling in the frequencies of the highest vibration as possible if you are conforming to the programs and the conditioning that has been set out upon you to have control over you.
Mm-hmm.
You must let it go. So self-care is what we do kind of in preparation. I say it's like an easing in. We say, oh, this feels so good to finally have time for myself. And then you start, to maybe daydream a little bit about, oh, what if I could do this every Saturday? Or what if, this and that? And you find other people, of course, that also like to do those things. And maybe you've started to meditate or do yoga and all of that. It's fabulous. But make no mistake, it's in preparation to call you to a higher task.
Wow. Yep.
And that task is to be you, the divine you, the extension of the God consciousness, the creator consciousness. And that's why we are all being called forward now. We are in the process of bringing humanity into this vibrational frequency of this new world that we have been slowly creating up until this point, that is now necessary in being accelerated so that we can shift wholeheartedly into that vibration.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And we're getting some hearts here. What I wanted to say is that I think you're a frontier in this work. I mean, there's people that are talking about self-talk. They're also talking about the self-care, which thank you for that explanation of the difference, because I'm still on self-care, I think. But I think you're right. If you don't know how to love yourself, you really can't love this whole journey. And so how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you help people do
Yeah.
that, I guess, is what the right question is.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I do when I'm working with my clients is they teach them how to discern energy.
Okay.
You know, the conscious mind that we live in is 97% controlled by the ego. The ego energy always wants you to stay right where you are. Do not rock that boat, it says. Stay behind the couch. Do not come out. And you know, it knows that if you remember who you really are, it's going to lose all control over you.
Right.
So it works really hard to do that, and it's perfected it in that it uses fear disguised in many different ways in order to keep people in their place. So it's essential then that we learn how to discern the difference between the voice of the ego and the voice of the higher self in a way that we're not dependent on how it should look. Because, like I said, that ego is a master of disguise. It'll have you going in circles, which is its most, pervasive way of keeping you, preventing you from moving forward. Mm-hmm. And so we must discern energetically. So that's always my first step. And we do this by, number one, we have to do some repair work by opening the lines of communication between the heart and the higher self, because this programming and conditioning, part of that has been to dummy down this open line of communication, which is actually essential for our well-being. Mm-hmm. So in the dummying down, one of the major ways that it has been accomplished is that we have been taught not to trust that voice. And so what we do is we do some repair work so that there is just no question. When that voice is speaking, not only are you able to hear it, but the first thing is you will feel it. So when you can feel energy, you can discern which frequency is vying for your attention. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we do have to do some deconstruction of the programming. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to pull apart every experience that you've had. What it means is that we deconstruct the programming, because the programming has created these belief systems that perpetuate your small self, you shrinking down in the world rather than being the greatest expression of you. And so in this deconstruction of those programs, we can now create new programs that keep you aligned with the true you, the authentic you. I also spoke earlier about the necessity of cultivating courage, because it takes courage. Let's face it. It's scary to let go of relationships, to let go of jobs, to let go of places where you've lived for 30 years. Yeah. But the scariest thing is to let go of our beliefs, because, what we have forgotten is that we only need one belief, and that is the belief in the energy of love. That is the creative force, and it will teach us, or should I say, it will remind us of everything that we need. I want to share just a quick little story. You know, it was just after I had left my marriage and my home and all of that, and I was finally secure in this new place. It was like a beautiful sanctuary. And all of a sudden, remember I said it was like the universe laid itself at my feet. I started to get visions, downloads of products that I needed to bring to market. Now, you heard my background, most of you. I was a nurse, spiritualist minister, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nowhere in there was there business training, was there manufacturing experience, was there product development, was there package development. And what I was given was a whole series of what I called training wheels for the law of attraction. And they were actually law of attraction products. And they took all of the principles and created a product that was 100% geared towards teaching how to use those universal principles within a certain aspect of life.
Cool.
So I didn't have a clue. Not a clue, but I also could not deny what I was feeling. And so I put myself in a state of complete trust, absolute trust. And within 6 months, Kathy, I had 8 products on the market and had started to win international awards for new products on the market.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Now, when I started, I didn't even know how to send an email. I had to hire someone who could put my computer together for me and teach me how to send an email. I had to hire someone to do all of the details, the intricacies of finding places where I needed to get these materials and so forth, and packaging facilities, all that kind of thing, while I worked to hold the vibrational frequency that these products had been given to me in.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what was at the key of all of that? My success was determined by how much I loved myself.
Beautiful. Wow. Yep. So this is what's so wonderful is your story lets people have a model to go with to experience their own divinity in that way.
That's right.
That's what's so cool. We haven't had heroes or heroines. We haven't had them. We've had sports people and politicians. Oh my God. And
Yep.
so this time period.
How's that working for you?
So that's what I'm saying is what happens is what happens is that when the frequency is right, I tell my clients, people are buying your light.
That's right.
So if you can stay focused on the timeline that came through in your soul illumination reading, and then there's an energy package that then you embed into your books, into your products, then it keeps expanding so there aren't old products. The energy keeps connecting to your higher self and expands it. And the covers are magnetic, everything. So, but the thing is, you have to see yourself. So you're here and you have to see this future self. How do you help people see that future possibility? It must start with love, but don't you feel this is from my experience. I feel like I'm holding a mirror and reflecting who they really are back to them until they don't need me to hold it anymore.
Right. So the first thing, and that's really beautiful, Kathy. It's so essential that we do that for the people that we work with, because we are capable of seeing beyond where they are today. But the truth of the matter is that I couldn't see myself beyond where I was. It was impossible. I literally was a soccer mom, a PTA, card holding member one day, and the next day I'm getting these downloads for products that I knew I needed to bring to market. There was nothing that could have prepared me for that.
Wow.
Honestly, I kind of had a very limited vision, because I thought, oh, okay, so I'll continue my healing practice. I'll start working with more people. Because at the same time, also, I downloaded a self-help, health, and wellness program. I said, I'll start teaching that, et cetera, et cetera. And nothing could have prepared me for what I do today.
Wow.
When I think about who I was then, I mean, even you're talking now 20 years ago, I wouldn't even let someone take my photo. And now I live in front of the camera every single day.
Wow.
And it's because if I had limited myself by even the expanded version that I thought I had of myself at that time, I would have denied all of those products coming through me.
Mm-hmm.
I would have denied those books. I would have denied those programs. I would have denied it because I would have been caught up in the, well, who am I? I would have been caught in, well, I don't know how to do that, and it would have sat on the shelf. So what I want to say to people is that the work is really in just becoming so committed to loving yourself and exploring what that is. You won't have to worry about anything else. The universe will take care of it. Just know that wherever you are right now it's not even a miniature version of what you will be in your expansive self.
Yeah.
What you are in your expansive self is divine. And our heads cannot wrap around that, which is why we must come to the heart. The heart is the only place where we can begin to see ourselves as we truly are. It
Wonderful.
Takes commitment, it takes courage, and it takes absolute trust that the God, that consciousness of love that created you, is also looking for an escape hatch. That's all it wants to do, is come out and play and show you what it's really all about.
Right.
And when it does, your path, your unique take on all of that, I just want you to know it's exactly what the world is waiting for.
Yep. Yay. Yes, yes, yes. I can't agree with you more. And I'm excited to have you explain how, I know you have a free ebook and we'll show that site. How do people work with you? I know you're a coach, but do you have programs? And I know you have this wonderful ebook and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's beautifully done. How do people work with you to go? Because you know that there's so many people right now that they had this scare of death basically 3 years ago. It was like an invisible enemy could come and get you at any time. And were you complete? Were you done? And so people had at least some opportunity to go, oops, nope, I'm not having that much fun here. And no, I deep down I know there's so much more that wants to be expressed.
Yeah.
Do you have, actually, I'd love it if you'd give us an example without telling us your clients' names of anybody's journey that you might want to share so that somebody, well, because I think that that'll give people the courage to go,
Mhm.
this is, how you worked with them and how
Yeah.
they, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Is that okay? Or,
Yeah. No, it's just, it's like thousands to
yeah.
select from. I mean, I work with people all around the world. So the process that I've created is called heart shifting. And um, it's really at the core of my coaching. And the process of heart shifting is when we learn, after we've learned to discern energy, we know which energies we actually need to bring through our heart in order to recalibrate that energy. That energy then is now going out into the world because it's radiated from us. I mean, what you were talking about, Kathy, so beautifully, was a representation of, our impact on the world around us. And so, right off the top of my head, I would say, a lot of what my clients come to me for is typically something different from what we really work on. We really work on, as I said, people getting to know themselves as someone that they can love, as themselves divine, as themselves creative life force energy. And so, what I have found, and this is across the gamut, whether we're talking romantic relationships, relationships with others, health related issues, manifestation issues, we come back to the core belief again and again and again of self-love. And so what comes to mind is, someone who I had worked with recently such who had such a shrunken version of themselves out into the world that everything that she experienced was a shrunken version of the world. It came through in her um, romantic relationships. It came through her with her relationships with her family. It came through her in her relationship with what she did for a living. And the most astounding things happened once she started to allow herself to let go of the programming that had been so deeply embedded within her from her childhood religion and perpetuated through her parents, that she was able to set herself free. And what was once this very abusive romantic relationship, she completely flipped and became the person who was creating the relationship rather than being victimized. Now, this is a very high level. Lots of times, there's no place there for that to happen, but it was present. And so she was able to work with that. She also started to let go of the constraints that her parents' um, perspectives had on her, and she gave herself permission to live life differently. She left her job where she had also been under the thumb, of her family, also completely diminished in who she really was,
Wow.
and gave herself permission to explore what made her heart sing? And now, it's just remarkable. Now, what is she doing? She's working with people who appreciate her, who can't get enough of her, who are in constant devotion to her.
Wow.
And it's because she devoted herself to being her authentic self.
Perfect.
And loving herself above, actually against all odds.
Wow, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that story. That's really, thank you for giving us an example so that others can understand the turnaround. How long did that take her? I mean, once she
On and
started,
off. Yeah, on and off for probably, it would be a month here and then time off, and then a month here, time off. So, she was so astute enough to recognize when the energy started to pile up again, and she needed to be able to clear out, get her the energy that was so dense that her mind was taking her, and that you're not enough, you're not this, you're not pretty enough, you're not all of that.
yeah,
And we would do the work again, discerning the ego's voice, the higher self, bringing it all through the heart and releasing it back out. And I'm telling you, I do this for myself all the time.
yeah,
This is not a one-shot deal. We are actually cultivating, we're learning how to cultivate a self-love lifestyle. And it's to the point now with her, with so many other of my clients, as it is with me, it's now so uncomfortable to be out of that vibrational frequency of self-love that the moment I feel myself in there, I cannot wait to bring myself back again. It's so uncomfortable. It's like fingernails on a blackboard.
right.
You just feel it in every single part of you. So, and again, no matter what you think you're there working on, what we're going to see is a clearing that's going to take place in every aspect of your life.
Wonderful.
So it's, what you're shifting is your entire energy field, and you're creating a place for love to land, and for your love to land in a place where you will be cherished.
And when you show up as love, everything seems to change. Every opportunity that you have changes because you're totally present. It's a different perspective
Mhm.
than most people have. So
Right.
I wanted to ask Nancy or Marcy, do you find people, there's a lot of walk-ins that are happening now, and
Mhm.
that's why they're changing? Or are these people that their soul just found you because it wants to embody, it wants soul body fusion?
It's such an interesting question. And I would say it's probably a combination of all of the above. We are, as we know, we are well in this ascension process, but more than anything, it's so accelerated that I believe that everything is coming in to support us in this. And so, whether it's a walk in, whether it is, a sudden, self realization, that epiphany, that revelation that just starts, as a catalyst, it almost doesn't matter to me. I just stay focused on what I know is essential for every single one of us. And I'm telling you, this is where miracles are being released out into people's lives. And there's absolutely no denying it.
Well, okay. So the other question I have for you is about being a hypnotherapist. Do you use hypnotherapy as part of your process with people?
So at this point, I'm sure that there is something that comes through, but when I'm working with someone, I'm not using processes.
I see.
Spirit guides me. I am
Uh-huh.
working in the higher self of that person.
I understand.
So that person's higher self is directing me, giving me
Perfect.
all the information that I need, that I simply mirror back. But I'm also given processes to take them through to accelerate and raise their vibrational frequency as fast as possible, because we can't have anyone lagging behind.
Right, right. Well, there, you know that it's all in divine order
Mhm.
how people find you, and their souls said, okay, who can we get to help? We've been leaving memos everywhere, and
Yeah.
books have been flying off of shelves.
Mhm.
Facebook invites are coming across the screen out of nowhere, and so now we've got to find Marcy.
Yeah.
That's
So
the way it works.
yeah, thank you so much. So I have three websites. One is heartshiftcoach.com. One is marcyneumann.com, and that's marcyneumann.com. And I also have
Hmm.
selfloveuniversity.com. And there is so much information, because I've created a number of digital programs you can do at your own pace. I've created, you know, programs where we can use that digital program as a base, and then you have coaching with me. You name it, it's there for you. There's some, free information. There are um, programs of all costs, and of course, to address every aspect of life that you may need some attention to, so that we can create that clarity and clear that path for you to become who you're meant to be.
Perfect. This is the time that everyone needs this. So I'm going to share this site, the
Mhm.
heartshiftcoach.com
Yeah.
site,
Hmm.
where people can get this wonderful Choose Self-Love book and
Yeah.
teach them how to be empowered. Basically, that's what a lot of what your stuff is
Yeah.
you may hold their hand a little bit to initiate, but then they from then on, they have all the tools they need to go. That's, as you said in your example, you said the woman would leave for a couple months and
Hmm.
then come back. I mean, that shows that is a wonderful, wonderful example of how this
Yeah.
all works. You don't want to shatter someone's whole personality. I mean, some people do. I mean, I took Avatar and did Wizards and came, I mean, 2 weeks, and I came back and I was disoriented, to say the
Mm.
least.
Yeah. No, my job is to set you free.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. Ultimate freedom.
Yeah. So I want people to know to go to heartshiftcoach.com
Hmm.
and get this book, sign up. It's
Yeah.
beautifully done.
Thank you.
And I want to make sure that people know that this is a part of the recipe for success
That's right.
for this new world that we're coming into. There's all sorts of opportunities for you to show up and bring your genius, but
That's
your
right.
genius may be underneath a whole bunch of stuff. Right?
Hmm.
It wants to be revealed, and certainly the people that watch this show are looking for ways to be the best that they can, show love the best that they can, and they may need the help to be the love.
Yes.
As women, we've been taught to take care of everyone else first.
Hmm. Yeah. You're so right on. And I just want everyone to remember, this is your birthright. Yeah. When we talk about the consciousness of love, nowhere does it say that one person is more important than the other, that there is no greater or lesser. There's no right or wrong, no good nor bad. And so when we come into this frequency of pure love, we automatically know that. And we start to live from that place. And this is really where you can be found.
Wonderful. And this is the path to the new earth. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Marcy.
Oh, it's been
This
such a pleasure, Kathy. You're so wonderful. What a wonderful host you are.
Oh, thank you. Well, you can tell I'm eager to learn. I'm eager to get the tools out there because there's so many people that you can just see them. They're almost like rosebuds, and they're so close. They just need just a little bit of help to see a different way of being and get out of the victimization and get into the love of self and others and the compassionate possibility for our future. So, well, thank you so much. We do need to go. We'll have to do this again.
I would love to.
Yes, thank you so much. And everybody, please go to HeartShiftCoach.com.
Yeah.
And get the free download, and you'll start to get a feeling for your possibilities.
That's right.
In all of this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Share this. If you have friends or relatives that might benefit, please share it. Thank you very much. And please subscribe if you're on YouTube. Please, please, please subscribe. Thank you.